So what's the best thing that's happened to you today?
TEDxNavesink.
That is my favorite question. And why? Because with this particular question, this playful question, it opens up. Because when we ask this question, it helps us find what we're looking for in the terms of playfulness, in terms of what works, in terms of joy, what is life force and what is energizing. So with this positivity, it has the potential to lead us to increased understanding, greater tolerance, and heartfelt connection. This I will prove to you, and you will experience 14 positive emotions. Now, I first became aware of this question and its impact when one of my professors, Professor Ron Fry at Case Western Reserve University, told the story that when he inquired with his son a routine question, which was, "What happened at school today, son?" Son would answer, "Nothing, not much, the usual." So my professor changed the question, and he asked instead, "Son, what's the best thing that happened to you at school today?" And he got a whole new story. Because after all, it's words that create our worlds. Now, as an agent for positive change, I could see the impact of this kind of question that focuses on what works and what gives us life, has such potential in all the work that I do. And I design and I facilitate executive retreats with Google, for example, and global conferences, and community events in Jersey City, and work with local businesses and kids. And so when I recognized the potential of this question, I made it my business to integrate this into my work. Now, interestingly, some of the most fun, inspiring conversations that I've had over the years has been with cab drivers. They have been the most inspiring, surprising, uplifting, and heartfelt and touching and moving conversations. And it doesn't matter what the conditions are. It could be 105 degrees and it's steamy, stinking hot, or it could be 5 degrees and it's damp and dark and drizzly. But what is in common across all of these is the traffic. It's usually gridlock and we're stuck together. So we could sit there enjoying our own little worlds in silence. We could reach for our devices and connect to the bigger world. We could complain, or we could engage in playful inquiry. And that's what I choose to do. I ask my favorite question. In fact, I've done this hundreds of times, and I think that the title of my next book could be called How to Get a Free Cab Ride in New York City. Let me share 2 stories. The first one is New York City. So I'm being driven by this man from Ghana who has the most voluminous dreadlocks I've ever seen, with the biggest, whitest, toothiest grin. And this man is so positive, he's so upbeat, that I think he probably had done several Tony Robbins courses or seminars. So I say to him, "What's the best thing that's happened to you today?" And it's surprising, and immediately he says, "Mum, the best thing that happened to me today, I told my girlfriend, she can't have no big screen TV." Wow, curiosity, all these emotions, curiosity, interest is piqued. How so? Tell me more. "Mum, life ain't all about that material shit." Okay, he inquires about me and my work. And I tell him, and he says, "Mum, you do such good work in the world. You don't pay me today." So next story. In a cab, Actually, no, I'm not in the cab yet. I'm outside Union Station in Washington, D.C. And I'm ushered toward this cab that's pretty beat up. I mean it seriously beat up. So I'm in it, we're out in the traffic, we're in Constitution Avenue, and I think, yes. And I say, "Sir, what's the best thing that's happened to you today?" Now, I was not surprised for the conversation that I was about to participate in. This slender man with tight, taut skin over a chiseled face and steely grey, wiry, very closely cropped hair raised his black, deeply set, watery eyes into the rearview mirror connected with mine. And he said, "Ma'am, every day is my best day. I'm 91 years old." That was a transformational moment for me. That beat-up old cab, I was privileged to be in this man's company in his cab. For the next 40 minutes on our way to Tyson's Corner in Virginia, we shared stories. This man was celebrating 65 years of driving cabs. He had fought in Germany in World War II, and when he came back, he was enlisted in the Civilian Conservation Corps, and had helped build much of Washington that we were driving through. I felt honored that this fine gentleman had opened up his world to me and shared some of his personal, significant history. On that journey, on that day, we were both enriched. So I have had the great fortune of sharing my favorite question, and now I want to give you the opportunity, because whenever I do this, I'm always struck with wonder. When I inquire into the best of a situation, the best of somebody's day, I'm just struck with wonder because I'm reminded of one of my very favorite lines from Meg Wheatley, one of her poems. And this line is, "You don't fear people whose story you know." So, would you like to play with me now? And in the spirit of what we're building here together, I'm inviting you to ask my most favorite question. So let's do it this way. I'm going to ask you all to pair up with somebody. And to make it simple, starting on this side of the theatre and around the top too, if you would turn to every second person, turn to the person on your left, and that will form a partnership. So, and if you're at the end of the row, you might have to turn to someone behind you. So, get your pairs ready, and then you're going to ask, what's the best thing that's happened to you so far today? You have 60 seconds. Fabulous, you're great players, wonderful. Now, if you didn't get a chance to do it, it'd be nice if both of you respectfully had the opportunity to do both parts of this. Well, as Brian said, we're coming into a break, so you might like to discover and continue your conversation in the break that's coming up. So, in this beautiful theatre, in this present moment, and we're focusing on positivity by inquiring to what works, let's talk about what are some of these 14 positive emotions that I promised you. So, joy and delight. I can hear the joy. You all heard the joy in what you were saying. And the delight and the laughter, and you kept going, you kept wanting to do it. 2, great stars. Then there's kindness. It brings out the kindness in us. And curiosity. You are curious to listen to what you might find out. And for some of you, it may have been courageous, in fact, to do this. You don't normally turn to a stranger. Try a cab, you'll love it. And then, of course, relief. Relief that you've done it, and respect. One of the most beautiful, positive emotions we can have, respect, respectful inquiry. And with that comes a sense of gratitude. We're grateful. We all want to be heard. We all have a voice. We all have a story. And interest. It's wonderful when people are interested in what we have to say. And then, of course, connection and relatedness. All things happen through connection and through relatedness. And playfulness. All of these positive emotions underpin playfulness. You can't play well unless you're feeling upbeat and positive. Or from the play, it comes to you. And of course, awe. And then love. Love in the grandest, biggest sense of the word love. We feel we're part of this humanity together. And if you reached out and touched someone, you may have also got a little bit of that oxytocin, that love hormone. So, what's it all about? What does it serve to be able to recognize and tap into our positivity? It's all about being the true participants in this world that we really are. That we are co-creators in this world. That we do it together. And when we recognize the fact that what's good about me and is good about you and is good about our entire world, we recognize our self-other begins to overlap. And we recognize more that we are in this together. And in the spirit of Ubuntu from Africa, that beautiful I am because of who we are. So this positivity in the form of positive thoughts that come to us, positive feelings that are in our bodies and in our hearts, positive actions and positive dialogue are all there for the asking by asking a simple, playful, positive, appreciative inquiry can lead to all of this goodness. So I'm asking you to imagine for a moment, what might it be like if our media, if our politicians, if our educators, our healthcare professionals, our business leaders were to invest time in working out what's right and what works and what's good instead of what's broken and what doesn't work and what's bad? What kind of world might we begin to fast track? And what's the direction? Because what we focus on grows. Okay, so remember my Ghanaian cab driver who gave me a free cab ride, but his girlfriend, she can't have no big screen TV? We get to my destination, Park Avenue, and it's a beautiful spring day in New York. The tulips are out, the windows of the cab are rolled down, and there's a man standing holding the door. He wants to jump into the cab after me. So I look at him and I say, he's a good guy. And then as the cab rolls out from the curb, I overhear the new passenger say, I hear you're a good guy. Followed by laughter. Now, a couple of more lines to finish with from Meg Wheatley's poem. Remember, you don't fear people whose story you know. Real listening always brings people together. Trust that meaningful conversation can change your world. Rely on human goodness. Stay together.